From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, yeah, the playoff seeding is broken, but the ACC shouldn't make any concessions. GM's a thing in college football, making 7 figures, and it's a mailbag episode. Let's generate some discussion sparked by Cummins. Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com, world's first and only clinically proven energy shot. Noles behind the operation. Funny how that works out. Greatness follows this fine institution that we all love and follow. 75% of clinical trial participants after 14 days said, yeah, I'm able to focus and concentrate better after taking a shot of Vitamin Energy. What are you waiting for? Sip the juice, shake it and take it. No sugar, no GMOs, nothing crazy. Just caffeine, vitamins, nutrients. One little bottle. Take it with you anywhere. Have it whenever. I guess I maybe shouldn't have it like at 11 o'clock at night, but you can if you want. If you got to stay up late. I take half shots still because I'm soft. VitaminEnergy.com. I love it. Almost as much as I love Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. Thumbs up, 5-star ratings, reviews. A shout out to our guy, Never Lose Your Nerd, another member of the growing Warchant YouTube members only tier. Welcome. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. Thank you, Corey Clark, for continuing to let me do this show with you 3 days a week, 4 days a week sometimes, and then every single weekday during football season. We're almost to spring football, but not quite yet, and we got a mailbag to tide us over today, so I'm excited for that. How are you, friend?
I am wonderful, Aslan. Thanks for asking. Let's get to the show.
All right. How about this from Wednesday? Andy Staples. Him and Ari Wassenberger. Check them out.
I think it's Wasserman, isn't it?
Wasserman, you're right. I apologize. They do a show every...
You added a burger on there.
I don't know. I'm hungry, man.
Yeah, all right.
I'm hungry. Andy and Ari in the mornings. Check them out on On3 on their YouTube channel. But Andy Staples is just straight up like, yo, I know everybody keeps complaining about seeding and how bad it was this past season, but if you're the ACC or the Big 12 or pretty much anybody out there, the other 10, is there 10 of us? Of these power or these conferences that are not the Big 10 or the SEC, you should pretty much tell them to kick rocks. Don't do anybody any favors. Because as it stands right now, to change it for this upcoming season it'd have to be unanimous. So every single conference commissioner plus whoever took over for Jack Swarbrick at Notre Dame would have to be like, yeah, let's go ahead and change the way the seating is. Because 2026, there's going to be a new TV contract. So, I think they just get consensus in that regard and they'll be able to pass things through. Although I don't know what would change between now and then to make you say like, all right, let's go ahead and do it. But pretty cool to see Andy, one of the leading voices in the college football landscape, kind of stick up for the little guy who unfortunately Florida State's part of when we're talking about being in the ACC right now.
Yeah, but I get what he's saying. There's no reason to acquiesce to the SEC and Big Ten when they're going to be running things. I mean, they already are, but in 2026, they're going to make sure that they have 8 guaranteed spots in the playoff, and they're not looking out for you. So why would you look out for them and give them what they want a year early, unless you can work out a concession somehow that benefits your conference? You'll be like, I'll vote for you if ... whatever comes after that ellipses. That would be the only reason. But he's right. Other than that, no, man, sorry. You voted for this. Everything's going to hell in 2026 anyway. We're going to just ride this out in 2025, and we'll see if Kansas State gets a bye in the first round this year of the playoffs, whether you like it or not. But while Tennessee's on the road at Texas, Kansas State gets to sit at home and watch you guys play.
Would we be upset if we were SEC? If we were SEC, Aslan and Corey, would be like, these people gumming up the works.
I guess it would depend on who we're covering, but no, no. Like, what have y'all done? What have y'all done? Like, I would think that, like, and I try to think about that sometimes. Like, if Florida State was in the SEC, would I just laugh at all these people from these other conferences? And probably. But I do not think I would laugh at Florida State or Miami or Clemson, because I would have enough awareness to realize what they've done for this sport and how important they are. in how little so many of the teams in the SEC have done for this sport, and the Big Ten for that matter. So, no, and also just like the trying to be equitable and fair. That's a nice thing to be in life. And I would hope that I would understand that it's bad for the sport if two conferences rule everything. It just bulldoze their way to whatever they want is bad for the sport. So I think I would have enough self-awareness to be like, yeah, that does kind of suck for them. I can see where they're coming from and not just laugh at them.
Kind of like Kirby. Kirby was asked the other day about, or maybe not the other day, or maybe it was last year, he was asked about the transfer rule in the SEC to where you cannot transfer within the conference if you enter that spring window. And he was just kind of asked his thoughts on it. He was like, you know what? He's like, I don't think we should be competing against each other for guys in our own conference, so I'm fine with it. He's like, although I have other friends who told me that they like the rule because it allows them to, recruit SEC players without having to compete against us for resource. And it's like, hey, that's cool. Like Kirby can pretty much admit something that's probably not the best thing for him, something outside of his own self-interest. But, it's hard to ask people to do that constantly. It's easier to do that as well when you are the SEC and you're going to have all this money and all this power still going to be in your hands in a year from now.
And it's just going to get bigger and more powerful. It's going to be more money and more power as we finish out this decade.
All right, keep this one in mind, and then we're going to jump into all the questions. Our guy Big Steve 22 says he's always interested to hear the answer from people in media when they're asked if they could sit down for 30 minutes with someone current or someone from the past. Who would that be? But for you guys, I was curious as to which historic and current sports figure you would like to sit down for 30 minutes and chat with, and what would be one big question you would ask each one. As always, thanks for all you do and keeping us entertained during these interesting times and difficult and uncertain for some of us. So
Herb Street. Am I right, Aslan? Just Herb Street for 30 minutes, you and I. I don't know. So he's not talking about Florida State sports, just sports in general?
Yeah. I mean, just you can marinate on. We don't have to answer right now. We can.
Okay.
Let's go to Whack 169. Good morning, guys. Did you guys do anything with the Wake Up Warchant last week? Don't remember. Anyways, he's our winner from last week, by the way.
Oh, okay. All right.
If you guys could pick one player on the team, not a quarterback, why do you guys always take the cool stuff off the board for us? And they're like, hey, dance for us, but you can't dance to this song. But I want to dance to that song. If you could pick one player on the team, not a quarterback, to be a first-team All-American, not all ACC garbage, but a true All-American, who would it be? I was thinking Daryl Jackson, because if he can destroy people, I know, way out there, wishful thinking, but if he could destroy the center and one guard from another team consistently, I think it would help set the entire defense up. Or as a second choice, maybe the tackle from Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean, I'll answer it more general, like broadly, not specifically those two guys. Those would be great answers. I just think in general, I would want, if I had to choose one position to be an All-American, it would be defensive end. And then the second position, for me, personally, just me talking out loud, would be a wide receiver.
Yep.
Those are the two. I think those are the two that can make the most impact on each side of the ball. I mean, besides quarterback. A great wide receiver changes everything. And then obviously a defensive end that can't be blocked, that it just completely can wreck an offense.
Yeah, I would think in February, if a year from now we're looking back and we're like, James Williams and Deuce Robinson were awesome last year.
If both of those guys are All-Americans, Florida State's getting in the playoff. There you go. You heard it here, Aslan.
Yeah.
You heard it here. You can't be an All-American wide receiver without putting up huge numbers. And if you have a wide receiver that's putting up huge numbers, that means the offense is doing well. It's putting up numbers. And same thing on defense with the defensive end.
Why don't we? But we're not going to get that. I don't think.
No,
we're
I know. I'm
expecting
just
that.
saying that it would be great if that happened.
Why can't we though? Okay, I was trying to think. Maybe it's always a kid from a weird school that puts up video game numbers against lesser competition. But I mean, I think like Jeremiah Smith's the guy that's probably going to be first team All-American. He'll probably. I mean, he's going to have astronomical numbers, but he's not going to have.
Kid's overrated. Overrated.
Noel Dad for life. The ACC is not the most football-centric conference. Sorry for saying the obvious. But what if it were closer to the Big Ten than the Pac-2? This is the perfect time of year for these hypotheticals. If you could pick 3 schools currently in the ACC to instantly become football powers in terms of funding, prestige, who would it be? Not saying they have to be Bama or Georgia level, but Tennessee, Penn State level in terms of buy-in to the football program and care from the fan base. Nole Dad for Life offers up North Carolina, Virginia, and Georgia Tech.
It's hard for me to pick Georgia Tech just because I grew up there and still live there half the time in that area of the world, and I just don't know how they could ever be a power because they're never going to have control of that state. They're never going to be a big deal in that state. What I want is a football program that is the number one sports team in that state. Obviously North Carolina, that'd be great, but you got to usurp basketball. I think Virginia Tech, if they were good, would be awesome. I think Miami, if they would be good, would be really good for the conference. I know people don't want to hear that, but you guys like when they don't win championships, but man, they are a huge name brand, and if they were early 2000s Miami or 80s, 90s Miami, how much better would this conference be viewed? But they ain't. They might not ever be, because Lord knows they've had 20-something years to try to be that, and it hadn't happened. But I would say Miami, Virginia Tech, and
North Carolina?
I guess, but I just don't. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Well, dark horse SMU, just to have a really good team in Texas gives you some level of, credibility. Especially if they miss out on the playoff and they end up playing like UT or A&M in a bowl game, and then they beat them, and it's like, look at that.
Nobody cares about bowls anymore, Aslan. I would say SMU. The problem with SMU is they're never going to be higher than third in that state at the highest, as far as popularity and fandom. I guess that doesn't matter if they're a power. They're a power. SMU's not a bad one. It's a huge city. Maybe they have a stadium that's 30,000, man. It's like it seats 32,000. So it's like, okay, are they? But meanwhile, you're talking about Penn State that has 110.
Could they be Oregon though? I know Outson's larger than that, but Oregon's kind of out there. But Oregon just created this brand almost. Like SMU's a pretty cool brand. Like they got really cool colors. They're the Mustangs. It's Dallas-Fort Worth.
What about Louisville? All right, throwing that out there. Maybe SMU. Let's see what they were just in the playoff in their first year, so good for them. Their basketball team might get in the tournament. They're adding some. They're bringing some value to the conference.
I
just have a hard time thinking them being a power on the level of Penn State or Tennessee, because I just don't think they don't have that traditional fan support.
I know, but I think they could be a national brand like Oregon more so than you own your state like Tennessee or Penn State, which I would rather that. I'm with you. If North Carolina, if Bill Belichick ends up sticking around there for 8 years and they end up becoming a really good program, I'd rather take that and own that entire state than trying to be like this national brand. But I think SMU would almost be Miami to a certain degree, to where it's like, it's Miami Vice, it's the beach, it's all this cool stuff or whatever, like this glitz and glamour kind of thing, which whatever, we can, say that it sucks, but to some people out there, it's kind of cool. Just like Oregon. Oregon, it's the jerseys, it's Phil Knight, it's the couple Heisman level guys they had was their fun little offense. Rhett Lashley's got something kind of cooking there. I think that could be something that's somewhat comparable. But I'm with you. It'd be better to own an entire state and have 100,000 people show up to all your games. But,
but I don't know. That's the problem with this conference. There isn't that. Yeah. North Carolina, it just seems like that's never happening. Virginia, too. Virginia Tech has had pockets where they've been really good, and they do have a devoted fan base. That is a football school, but, Michael Vick was 25 years ago, man.
Yeah. But, hey, Enter Sandman wasn't, though.
Marcus Vick was 15 years ago, or 20 years. He was 20 years ago. Good night. Tyrod Taylor was 15 years ago.
Yeah. Enter Sandman, though. Still pretty cool.
They do have that. That's right.
Still pretty cool. Gator Kirk, wake up. Given the lack of competition in the Big Ten for baseball, soccer, and softball, if FSU has to join, we don't have to. Well, I guess we do, right? We need the money. If FSU has to join, will that mean the excellence of these programs suffers because recruits will want to play in a better conference versus better competition? Enjoy your day, everybody.
I don't know how that would work. It's a fair question. Yes, that would be a bummer. I can tell you this, Link would schedule better out-of-conference teams to start the season if they were in the Big Ten. It wouldn't be a lot of Georgetowns and who's after them, Lipscomb. Like it would be it'd be Arizona State and Texas, because the Big Ten, you're not going to be able to make up any RPI ground. That would be a concern, honestly, is all those other sports, because the ACC and women's soccer it's like the SEC and men's basketball right now. It's incredible. That would be and then you wonder, like, well, will they just break football off and have football be its own thing, and then Stanford and Cal can go back to staying on the West Coast in everything but football? And there's sports. You don't have to send your lacrosse team to Charlottesville, Virginia to play a regular season lacrosse match. You can go out there and play Pepperdine. You could stay in at least your state or your half of the country. So I would think this doesn't seem tenable to keep for all these. Stanford has like 30 sports. So there's 29 other teams that it's like, this is crazy. We got to go row against Boston College. I mean, they're coming. It doesn't seem tenable to have all these cross country flights for these non-revenue sports. So maybe sometime soon, maybe by the end of this decade, we can hope football will just break away and be its own thing, and then all the other schools can go back to regional conferences, which is what it should be for all the other sports.
I know, but isn't the underlying part of this question, if FSU has to join, will that mean the excellence of these programs suffers?
I don't think so.
Because you're getting all this money. We were leaving for the money, and the money's going to buy you the best coaches, and it's going to get you the best facilities, and it's going to help you acquire the best players. I was going to say,
the allure of playing Florida State baseball, it's still Dick Howser Stadium and the fans, and you're recruiting from your home state. I know that it's fun if you're a high level baseball player like Hunter Carnes or something, to be like, I get to play. We get a home series against Virginia, we get a home series against Clemson or whatever. But I think the real allure in that sport and soccer, probably because it's a great soccer fan base too, is playing wearing the garnet and playing in the stadium in front of those fans, no matter who the opponents are. You'll get to face good opponents when you get to the tournament anyway. But I can see that. I understand the question, but I do think 90% of being a Florida State baseball fan is the history and tradition of being on Florida State's baseball team, not getting to play North Carolina and NC State.
I'd be mildly concerned about baseball just because of that elite arm with like maybe the overly involved dad, or maybe it's not the overly involved dad. Maybe it's like the really smart dad that's like, yeah, man, I don't know if I want my kid throwing in Evanston, Illinois in April. Don't think that's going to be good for his arm.
Well, yeah. I mean, sure, I get you. Yeah, but
because if you're in the Big Ten, you're probably not going to be able to avoid. But then, listen, they've had to go to Boston College. They've had to go to South Bend,
Notre
Indiana.
Dame.
Pitt sometimes, right? I don't know if have they been to Pitt yet? I imagine they played at Pitt.
Yeah, last year they were at Pitt. They lost the game where Arnold struck out like 17 guys, and Florida State lost the game.
Unbelievable that I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Let's go to Mark down in Naples. Wake up. Interesting to hear Jeff and Ira on headlines saying they're way more excited to see Tony White's defense than the offense. We know Corey's feelings on the offense, worse in America, can only go up and way up to average or better in 25. I'm in that camp. But what if, and I'm just spitballing here, Gus and Tony produce top 20 units in 2025? I mean, it's what they do, right? And we still have a head coach who won some games here not long ago. If and assuming Gus and Tony produce top 20 units in 2025, what do you see the over-under at, or what do you set it at? Maybe not top 20 on both sides when you're playing Bama, and we never do win at Clemson. So 2 losses. I think 9.5 is the number. I'd pound the over on 8.5. Thoughts?
If they were top 20 in offense and defense, yeah. I mean, that's a top 10 team. And a top 10 team should go 10-2 or 11-1, I would think.
Gus
you're elite. You're almost elite at both if you're top 20 in offense and defense. And if you're elite on both sides of the ball, I mean, I can't imagine. I don't know how many teams were at top 20 in both last year, but I imagine they won a bunch of games, whoever that was.
Gus has not had a top 20 offense since 2013.
Oh, all right. Well, there you go.
So,
in what? In scoring or total
scoring? Scoring.
Oh, okay. All right.
But listen, he's only had, in 17 years as a head coach or an offensive coordinator, he's only had 3 teams that didn't average at least 30 points per game.
Yeah.
So,
and even then, I bet they didn't average 15.
Correct.
Those other 3. Yeah.
25.1 back in the COVID year, 25.6 his last year at Auburn, 2011 as the OC, and his first year at Arkansas was 28.9, but that was 20th in the country back then. Remember those days, Corey?
Oh, yeah. That's good
days.
stuff.
All right, so over-unders have been a really big popular topic this week because it's been slow, and that's been kind of the topic du jour, or whatever the week would be. Let's go to Island Chief. He says, wake up. It would be hard to argue against 7.5 being the right number for regular season wins for the props, for the prop next season, all things being equal. For me, that number says the bet is, does Norvell win all the games he's supposed to win next season? Over is yes, he does. Under is, who's going to be our coach next? He goes with yes. I'm 2-2 on this bet during Norvell's tenure. Last year I passed. Along those lines, is it more likely that Florida State finishes 9-3 or 6-6? Both of those props are 1.5 games apart from the line. So let's end our week doing this show, Corey, with the topic that's been dominating our show this week. And let's fire up the cameras. And Corey, I'm going to just let you go ahead. Thank you. He does everything around here, everybody. Corey Clark, senior writer, lead writer for Warchant.com. It's generating discussion. It's sparked by Cummins, Cummins.com. Follow them on Instagram, though. Cummins Lifestyle, all one word. They're doing lots of awesome things in the RV this year, everybody. Get some ideas, some inspo, I think is what the kids call it, Corey. Check out the own line of products, portable generators, portable power stations. By virtue of making it onto this program in this capacity, you get entered into a grand prize drawing at the end of the year to win one of those for absolutely free.
Yeah, that's incredible. Those things are awesome.
They are.
Those things are awesome. Yeah, you guys should all be rushing to do this.
All right, Corey, so I think I know your answer to this. I think Florida State's more likely to finish 9-3 than maybe not. I just totally changed my mind. 6-6 right now, as I sit here and not having seen them do anything. There's numerous things I'll be able to see during spring football to where I'd be like, they're definitely closer to 9-3 than 6-6. But right now, I'm just gonna have to go with 6-6.
It just comes back to me, Aslan, that means you think they're going to go 4-6 in the 10 games that they could lose. You know, and I just don't see. I think they have a better chance of going whatever that would be 7-3 than 4-6. Because it's a 10-game schedule. I got to keep telling you guys that. I don't have to keep telling you guys that. I just do. That's what I do. But they have 2 wins on the 6th and the 20th. Kent State is the worst team in America, and then the other team is East Texas Christian A&M. Yeah. So those 2 are guaranteed wins. So you're looking at, you only got to beat. You're going to lose to 6 of Alabama, understandable. At Virginia, okay, road game. Miami
Friday
at home.
night.
Pitt at home, at Stanford. I mean, at Stanford and at Virginia are 2 of, right now in February, 2 of the, or March, wherever we are, we're close to, 2 of the easier road games you could ask for in the ACC. Doesn't mean you're going to win. It's always hard to fly across the country. It's hard to play on a Friday night. But, man, when you look at that schedule, and then Virginia Tech and Wake at home, I just feel like you're more apt to win 7 of those 10 than 4 of those 10. That's why I think 7.5 was a great number. But I'm not predicting 9-3. I honestly, if I had to pick, not knowing, I'd say 7-5 probably, or 8-4. But I don't know. I think 6-6 would be a debacle. It would be another disaster, considering you went 2-0. You start the season 2-0. That's another losing season. That means you go 4-6 in the 10 games that matter. And I still believe, I shouldn't, I guess, I still believe in Norvell. I still believe that the guy can put together a good football team. And I believe that they got much better players and their coaches are better. So let's hope it results in more than 4 wins out of 10 games.
Not bad.
Okay.
Probably superior reasoning to mine. Just looking at it, though, I just think it's hard to not do this. It's hard to not be like, it's Florida State. You are going to be more talented than Virginia, than Pitt, than Stanford, than Wake, than Virginia Tech, than NC State, probably Miami, probably Florida. But I know what happened to them when they played Florida last year. I'm not all that confident about walking in the swamp and beating them. And I just feel like you're at this level of a top 25, top 35 team to where, like, yeah, weird things happen. You lose a road conference game.
Yeah.
You lose a game at home that you probably should have won.
You're also allowed to beat a team that's better than you or you're an underdog against. Like, you could beat Alabama.
That's true.
I think right now we start the season figuring Alabama's an automatic loss. I don't agree with that, but I think a lot of people probably feel that. Clemson and at Florida are close to – well, Clemson, I feel like it feels like an automatic loss.
Yes.
At Florida and Alabama feel like almost automatic losses, or at least right now, but it's February. Yeah. We have no idea what these teams will be. So you're like, okay, if you're starting from that point, you already got 3 losses on the schedule. That means you have to be 9-0 in all the other games to reach that 9-3. I think there's a chance you could beat Alabama. I think there's a chance you can win at Florida. But I'm also talking in February. Valentine's Day was less than 2 weeks ago. I wonder what Belichick got his girl for Valentine's Day.
I don't know. Island Chief does also add, what about 10-2 versus 5-7? What about that one, Corey? Do you think they're...
I think the same rule applies, right?
Okay.
My same reasoning applies, that it would have to go again. If you go 5-7 this year, that is almost the equivalent of 2-10, like, because you've got the 2 guaranteed wins. So that's going 3-7 in a 10-game season. That's COVID all over again. But
you had the 1 guarantee last year. You had the 1 game.
And you went 1-10 last season. So to go 3-10. Or whatever it would be, 3-7, is crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
To think about that. So I still think my reasoning holds that because look, if they go 5-7 where they've got 2 guaranteed wins, that to me that's as bad as COVID in 2020. It's actually worse because there's no excuse in year 6, whatever, to have another COVID year where you go 3-7. So. I'm remaining to stay positive. I'm choosing to stay positive and saying there's a better chance of 10-2 than 5-7, but I don't think there's a very good chance of either.
Yeah, I mean, so again, like, ultimately to the point, it's Vegas is saying they're gonna go those other 10 games, they split it, or they go 6-4 in it.
Yeah,
which is still not like a very complimentary place to be coming from. But
no, but it's certainly coming off 2-10. You'll take it.
All right. Good question, Island Chief. Welcome to the Winners Club. You too can be involved in it. Subscribe to warchant.com. Head over to the Tribal Council every week. Thread pinned to the top says Renegade Express. Put your question in there. Win, profit. Awesome things from our great friends over at Cummins. Give them a follow. Cummins Lifestyle on Instagram. It's the dawn of a new year. Let us manifest abundance. Or let us live on Earth and take a more measured approach. Do you know that 85% of us have at least one subscription going unused each month? Yeah, I'm included. Imagine paying $50 at the pump and getting no gas. Imagine dropping $20 on lunch and getting no food. Yeah. Let's get our affairs in order with Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel our unwanted subscriptions, plus it monitors our spending. This can help lower expenses and lets us grow our savings. Let's max out those 401ks and IRAs. Rocket Money's dashboard gives you a clear view of your expenses across all your accounts, allowing you to see all your subscriptions in one place and let you know exactly where your money's going. And for the subscriptions you don't want anymore, Rocket Money can even help you cancel them. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/game-on. That's rocketmoney.com/game-on. rocketmoney.com/game-on. Visit today. We're back. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Shake it and take it. Let's see. We've marinated a little bit on the Big Steve-O question. Big Steve-O 22. I feel like I had a really good answer to this a while ago. And I'm like, I should write this down so I can remember it if it ever comes up and I don't have it. So there, way to go, Aslan. I don't know. I really like Nick Saban for some reason now, like in the second act of his life. I'd be interested to sit down with him and talk. But for a more urgent thing, like the layup question, but just give me Norvell for 30 minutes. I just want to talk about what the hell happened last year. It used to be like, give me Jimbo. I want to know what happened in 2014. Like, I don't care about 2017. And I don't want to. 2013 was amazing. Like, but I get it. I know what happened. We were awesome. I just want to I just want to walk me through what it was like every single day waking up and being like, is this going to be the day that something else is going to come up and try to like derail my team. The stress of all that. But no, I don't want to talk to Saban about, I don't know, man, like how do you really end up creating this whole thing about process and really believing in it with every fiber of your being so that you end up winning all these games and all these coaches try to emulate it and they end up becoming successful. But probably just want to sit down with Mike and be like, hey, man, just like what happened? Like at what point? Like, did you know in August that the offensive line was going to be good? Can you just tell me that? I don't even need 30 minutes. Just give me 1 minute and you can keep the other 29 with yourself. What about you, Corey?
Bill Belichick and his girlfriend. It would be a combo interview. I literally can't get over it. It's bothering me too much. I don't think it is, though. You know what? I don't think it is. I think Hugh Hefner was gross for the last 30 years of his life, certainly the last 15. He's an 82-year-old man living with 22-year-old women in this bed, 4 women at a time. It's just gross. But that's Hugh Hefner. He built his life on Playboy. So he's living the Playboy lifestyle. That at least made sense, and that's who he always was. This guy is a leader of college men. He's a football coach. We're supposed to take him seriously when he's 72 dating a 23-year-old? It's gross. It's the equivalent of like a 40-year-old dating a 17-year-old. It's just gross. Worse, I don't know, man. I can't get over how gross it is. I think we just, you know what you're going to do? He's rich and famous, and she's pretty and young. This is how life works. No, it isn't. They're both incredibly creepy. Incredibly creepy. It should, like, get a 40-year-old, Bill. Anyway, so I would interview him. Like, how do you think this makes you look, Bill? Like, it's like when, remember what John Mayer used to be thought of as like this, like, insightful songwriter? I think, anyway. Like, when he came up, he wrote, like, I thought
Bodies
they
of
were,
Wonderland, right?
Yeah. But I thought he wrote in the one about daughters or kids or
daughters,
something.
Yeah, daughters, yeah.
That he was supposed to be like a really thoughtful, like, he's obviously a great guitarist, but like almost like a lyrical genius and just this really thoughtful poet type dude like Bob Dylan. And then he's hooking up with Jessica Simpson, which said all you needed to know about who John Mayer really was, in my opinion. No offense to all the Jessica Simpson fans out there. But it's like, okay, we know what you're about. You're just writing songs to get with women. We get it, man. There's nothing deep about you. And Bill Belichick, there ain't nothing deep about you either. A 23-year-old man, that is just it would be gross if I was with a 23-year-old. I'm not ruling it out, but I'm saying it would be gross if I was with a 23-year-old, and I'm 25 years younger than that guy. Good night. We're just going to let it. Isn't that funny? Look at him with his girlfriend. Isn't that? No, it should be a crime for both of them. But yeah, whatever. Hey, love finds a way. The heart wants what it wants, Aslan. But that would be my answer.
Crazy thing is his ex-girlfriend, who was more of his peer, was wildly attractive.
Yes.
Great-looking woman.
Yep.
So, I don't know. Maybe there's, I don't know what he's chasing. Poor Steve Belichick. What are you doing when it's your dad? Have you seen this stuff? Oh, I can't even bring up the stuff that's going on in Ole Miss right now that's been trending on Twitter, Corey.
No, I haven't seen anything about that. All right, well, don't bring that up.
We're a family show.
Family show. Okay,
We're
good.
Family
but
show.
yeah, your dad's dating someone younger than you, a lot younger than you. It's just, I mean, again, he was supposed to be. It would be like Bear Bryant retiring at Alabama and then dating a cheerleader. Would we think a little differently of Bear Bryant? Yeah, you old effing creep. And we're going to do it. Bear Bryant died like a week after he retired, so he didn't even get the chance. But Bill Belichick, man, sure, go for it, buddy. Go for it.
But nobody you'd want to just like Dale Murphy. I'm still working on the Dale Murphy interview, by the way.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, okay, Dale Murphy. Yep, that's the answer. Thank you for that. That's the answer. Bill Belichick, that was just me to get that off my chest. But Dale Murphy would be the one. That was my childhood hero. There's a really good story that was written about him a few years ago. I can't remember. I think it might have been The Athletic, but I'm not sure. About a guy that was like me, grew up watching Dale Murphy, had his poster on the wall, was a huge fan, and he went out and interviewed Dale Murphy and his wife. It was as accommodating as possible, and Dale Murphy was just as grateful as you would imagine, and says, yeah, I know that I played a big part in a lot of kids' lives, and it does mean a lot to me. I don't take it for granted. So just seems like a genuinely great person. Always has, which is really cool.
Tennis ump, wake up. How will the house settlement affect the collectives like the Battle's End? Thanks as always. I did some reading on this, Corey.
Okay, yeah, all right, go for it.
All right, so the House settlement is like AKA revenue sharing or whatever, which is going to be contested, it sounds like, because all these people are already lawyering up. But I guess part of the mix on this, Corey, is that if you are going to agree to the revenue sharing, like you're signing a contract, and that contract says you cannot sue the school, which is pretty cool. But all right, to the collectives part of this thing. So I guess the two options are either A, they remain this autonomous kind of appendage to your athletic department, or they get rolled up and then you can kind of work closely with them. But that doesn't seem to be the sort of route that most of these universities want to take. They'd rather have them kind of like on the outside. But they're going to do the clearinghouse thing here, where if you sign a deal over $600, you have to report it. And they're going to be an arbitration board that's going to determine what fair value is. Now, listen, there's all this cynical takes, right? Like, who's going to determine fair value? How can you determine that? You're limiting these kids' ability to monetize themselves. It's unconstitutional, all these sort of things. Well, like, again, you're signing a contract that's pretty much going to say that I will accept the revenue sharing because it's going to be a decent chunk of money you're going to get. You're not going to walk away from that. So you're going to not be able to sue the school. But the collectives will still operate, but it's probably going to be more above board, or at least more reasonable, because again, like you're going to have to, and the Big Ten and the SEC are behind this completely. So they're going to help create the working group that's going to create, these, I don't want to say bureaucracies, but these panels that are going to, judge these things. And you're going to have, you have to get it cleared, these NIL deals through your collective, but you can also appeal it and you can continue to play, which is a little bit kind of underhanded. So you can get something that's completely frivolous. We're giving him $60,000 to show up to an autograph signing, but you can appeal it and you can continue to play until they go ahead and make a deal on it or whatever. My favorite part was reading this from the end of the New York Times story, or the Athletic story from late last year. Said, quote, Corey, certain places found ways to take care of players under the table long before NIL and collectives were allowed. You think this will stop them now? Come on. Things will just go back to the way they were before, which is great.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
Let it be under the table. Let it not be this completely abashed, just arrogant almost level of flaunting the fact that you're paying kids to come play for you, whatever. So, yeah, the collectives are going to stick around, but you're going to have to make it, the money's going to have to add up, and you can't even do, if you want to do like a loophole, Corey, all right, so it won't be $600. We'll give you 25 deals at $585 a pop to make it work. That's going to get flagged. That's going to like instantly disqualify you. Now, listen, they find out that you're getting deals that haven't been passed through the clearinghouse, you'll probably get suspended, or you'll have to give the money back. So there's going to be some teeth to it. It's these two factions right now, Corey, and I'll let you go on this. There's the NCAA side of it. I think there's the program, the university side of it that wants some relief. Like this is not sustainable. And then it's the lawyers. It's the lawyers that know they can all get 10 kids to go in on some sort of class action suit and get a huge payday off of it. And they're the sources that are also talking to the Athletic and tell them, oh, this is not going to work. So it's these two competing visions. Like, which side do you want to be on? You can go ahead and pick it. I think you know which side I stand on.
Yeah, man, we'll see. I almost don't want to even talk about the House settlement till there's a House settlement, because I feel like we've been talking about it for a year, and it still seems like it's so off on the horizon. I don't even know when it's coming. When is it going to happen? When's it going to happen? When's baseball going to have unlimited scholarships?
April, I think it's supposed to.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. Right? It's right now, right over the horizon. We'll see. We'll see when we get there. Yeah, I think that look, the battle's end will still get guys deals. Yes. They will enhance whatever they get from the revenue sharing, if that ever actually comes to exist. They will get deals. I just think, like Aslan said, they have to be actual deals. Like you have to do, like we saw here in Tallahassee, there were commercials with Jordan Travis and Trey Benson. I think it was Trey Benson.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Jared Verse.
Yeah.
Doing car commercials. Yeah, those were real, legitimate deals. There was legitimate ads. They got paid for it. It's crazy we went the first 100 years of this sport where they couldn't do that.
Yep.
Or that Todd Gurley got suspended for half a season for signing autographs and getting paid for it when he was one of the most famous athletes in the state of Georgia. Ridiculous. So I'm glad that there's this. It's just, as we've talked about ad nauseum, it's swung in the complete opposite direction, that this is ridiculous how this sport is being run right now. So hopefully there's some oversight. Hopefully there's some parameters. I worry about the enforcement. To all this, because if there's not an arm of this thing that can actually penalize players and teams for breaking the rules, then everybody's just going to break the rules. At least, hey, SMU, we're just talking about, they got the death penalty for a year for breaking the rule. The whole SEC was put on probation in the 90s at one point or another. There have been real there's been real punishment. There's been ramifications. If there's not, then it doesn't mean anything. But I do hope they put some teeth into this. I do think, as much as I criticize the powers that be, because we know who those powers are in this sport, I do think they realize that this has to be fixed. This has to be fixed. This is a joke. And so I hope that and yeah, man, there's going to be some lawsuits, I guess. You're not letting me make my fair market value. Man, okay, then sit out a couple years and go play in the NFL. Nope. It is not a birthright that you get to go make as much money as you want illegally against the rules so you can play at Arizona or Arizona State. That's not a birthright. Sit it out, go play in the NFL. And when you get to the NFL, go sue them because they have a salary cap. They're limiting your market value because they're putting a cap. That's not fair market. That's not capitalism. Go sue them. See how that does. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the NFL has a salary cap. The NBA has a salary cap. The Major League Baseball doesn't have a salary cap, but they got all those tiers.
NHL's got a salary cap.
But college football, college basketball, whatever you want. It's just ridiculous. Yes, it's anti-American in the sense that you're limiting what somebody can make. Oh, well, 20-year-old. I'm sorry. You're going to have to live with $180,000 and a free scholarship. And I can tell you what, Dexter Carter really feels sorry for you. Yeah, and I shouldn't even use Dexter Carter because he was a first-round pick that made a lot of money. I should have used Rashad Green. Rashad Green, how much would he have been worth his last 2 years at Florida State? Ooh. He was a fifth-round pick that was out of the league in 2 years. Kenny Shaw. I guarantee you Kenny Shaw is crying over the fact that some 19-year-old is only going to be limited to $150,000 or $200,000 a year instead of $2 million. Yeah, okay. Anyway, I'm done. I'm off that pulpit.
And one other thing, it was actually the states of Tennessee and Virginia that filed suit to pretty much make pay-for-play like a thing last year. And those two states, along with Florida and New York, I think, at the end of January, wrapped up that suit, if you will. So that's like opening the way for this House settlement to be able to kind of go forward. Because the whole case was like, you're limiting people's ability to make money. This is like, it's a monopoly. It's a antitrust kind of stuff. So apparently Florida, Tennessee, Virginia, New York, the states that were like at the forefront of this fight to let players basically get paid whatever as part of the NIL thing, which is really just pay for play. Like they agreed to like wrap up that settlement. So that's going to move this thing forward. But ultimately, it's also going to have to fall on the federal government too, because a lot of these states, apparently Texas and Oklahoma have it. They passed statutes as part of their state legislature that the NCAA cannot dictate to them how to police their own players and stuff, which is great. Yeah. Anyway, Tenor Knoll, 1701. Never seen this person before. They've been around since July 31st, 2022. This is our 9th ever post.
Okay, all right.
What up, Tenor Knoll? Thanks for being around for all these years, man. For real. Appreciate that. Wake up, fellas.
Well, it's only been like 2.5.
Well, still. I know. Yeah, you're right. But still.
Come on, Tenor Knoll. Let's get to 3 at least.
Question. Jump in the Wayback Machine with me. Let's suppose Florida State hires Deion Sanders and not Mike Norvell. Give Deion the same wins and losses that Mike had in all the seasons. Last year we win every game and we lose Jordan Travis to the same injury, yet your backup is Shedeur Sanders. But he has the same production that our backups produced. Beats Florida kind of ugly, beats Louisville kind of ugly. Yeah. Does the committee put Florida State in the top 4 team playoff with Deion Sanders as head coach and Shedeur as a starting quarterback? Longtime listener, love the show, from Claremont.
I made this argument from Claremont, Mississippi?
No, that's outside of Orlando.
Oh, all right. I think there's a Claremont, Mississippi, though. I don't know why I would assume it's Mississippi when we're.
You're thinking of the
talking
Clarion
about
Ledger, which is the newspaper
right.
of record for
Yeah,
Jackson.
That's right, for Jackson. Sorry, I got sidetracked. I made this argument on headlines. Maybe I made it on this show too. That I think if Travis Hunter had stuck to his commitment and was on that 2023 Florida State team, just Travis Hunter, not even if Jordan Travis goes down and Tate Rodemaker's the quarterback. If Travis Hunter is on that team, I think there's a decent chance they go.
I believe you.
Because you would have a guy that was playing both ways. It's one of the best players in the country. He might have won the Heisman that year because he'd have been on a good team. Maybe Keon's not on the team, though, if Travis Hunter's there. But, hey, you got Travis Hunter. But either way, you've got ultimate star power, even though you lost your quarterback. And they're like, oh, man, okay, yeah. So they got Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, Trey Benson, Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, Azareye'h Thomas, and Travis Hunter. Yeah, I think they're good enough to make it. I think it was the fact that people didn't realize how good somebody like Braden Fisk was or Azareye'h Thomas. There wasn't the star power and the name power to understand just how talented that team was. Well, with Travis Hunter, you couldn't have denied it.
No.
But yeah, man, they got maybe the best player in the country on their team, and it ain't the quarterback that just got hurt. But Deion's power, personality. To answer the question the way it's written, yes. I don't think it would have to do with Shedeur. I think it would have to do with Deion.
Yep.
Just judging from the way they lost their minds about Colorado football in September of 2023, I would say absolutely they would have been like, yep, look at the ratings. Deion is must-see TV. Let's see what he can do with his son now at quarterback. Absolutely, they make the playoff.
Yeah,
Don't you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think I kind of try to dance around that, but everybody was already so upset. I didn't want to totally dive into it, but it's not fair, man. But I think, although it's like Kalen DeBoer didn't really have a lot of cachet behind his name.
No, but he beat Oregon twice.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That
So you had Nick Saban, Jim Harbaugh, Steve Sarkisian, Kalen DeBoer, and then Mike Norvell. And I know that sounds rude. And I'm not trying to be rude, but it just Mike comes off the Todd Graham tree, which you should almost respect it. This is a guy that pretty much kind of is self-made, went under the radar, did not get to learn from the greatest at the highest level for 8 years or however long Kirby was able to kind of shadow Nick when he was in Tuscaloosa. But I do think there's a level of cronyism and the coaching fraternity where it's, you have to have some stripes on you from coaching under these greats. And
but Deion didn't have that.
But he's Deion, though, man.
That's what I'm saying. It's just the question, though, is just about the splashiness of Deion.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's the head coach versus the head coach. It's Mike Norvell and it's Deion Sanders, man. So
it's ridiculous.
It's Deion Sanders versus anybody. Really,
yeah.
It's not just Mike. I'm trying to look at Renardo Green here real quick. Yeah, Renardo Green graded out at over almost 70 this past year in the NFL too. And that's another guy. Yeah. No one knows who Renardo Green is outside of Tallahassee.
Only a second-round pick. Jarian Jones was a third-round pick. Yeah. Braden Fisk was a second. I mean, you had all these dudes, man. You had all these dudes that people just didn't appreciate because they were playing in the ACC. But if Travis Hunter was on that team, not only, they're still undefeated. I don't think they're losing with Travis Hunter on the team. That just gives them another huge star to go along with Keon and Trey and Jordan Verse. And it's we can't deny this team. They've got too many incredible players on it. So, but yeah, I think you're right. I don't think. I want people to understand. At least I hope you're not agreeing with them. That Mike Norvell wasn't as big a name, so that's why Florida State was left out, and that was the right thing to do.
It wasn't the right thing to do, but I think it's part of the equation.
I think it's more maybe not Norvell as much as Florida State seemed like a Johnny-come-lately that got kind of lucky or so. I don't. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because Kalen DeBoer and Harbaugh and Norvell all did something really, really hard to do. They all went undefeated and won their conference championships. And they all should have been rewarded, no matter if they're as big a name as Deion or Nick Saban or not. I know Norvell doesn't have his Aflac commercial, but that shouldn't matter. But I do think, for the purposes of this question, the power of Deion, the ratings, the ratings that were almost like it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. If we do enough stories on Deion and how cool this is, people will watch. Most of them watching, hoping he loses. Like they're hate watching, rooting against them, but they're watching. And I think that would have absolutely played a role into. There's no way. Let me put it this way: if Colorado had gone 13-0 and won the Big 12 in 2023, ain't no chance they're getting left out of that playoff.
Amen, brother. Well said. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, cptallybar.com website. 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Put that in GPS. You will find a place with delicious food, ice cold beverages, and lots of awesome activities. Billiards, darts, and then on Friday night, tomorrow night, everybody, the Firewall Band, 8 to 11. Up all night like Lionel Richie at the CP on a Friday night. I like the way that sounds. Daily lunch specials from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Only $8.99. Comes with a side dish of your choice, obviously. Daily happy hour weekdays. I shouldn't say daily. Weekdays, 4 to 7. And then all day Sunday. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, who loves you? 2475 Appalachia Parkway. On the way out, I want to get your thoughts on this real quick.
All right.
Thanks again for all the questions, everybody. Get involved next week, as we'll be generating discussion sparked by Cummins once again. This isn't conflict of interest or whatever, but so they released the salaries for Michael Lombardi, who is like the first lieutenant. He's the GM for the North Carolina football program now. He started off with Belichick, I guess, early on in their career in New England. So he's
wonder
their
if he's
GM.
Married. What is Belichick's? What is his girl? Do they have Does she hang out with? What is it? Bubba Cunningham's the AD, right?
Yeah.
Does she hang out with Cunningham's wife at these sporting events?
You're so fascinated by this. I love it.
It's insane. It's insane. It's insanity. It is insane. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
So Michael Lombardi is a GM of North Carolina. He's making $1.5 million annually. Jim Nagy, who we had on the program last year, dare I say friend of the program, has been the senior director, or rather the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl in seasons past year, has agreed to become the general manager for Oklahoma. What are we doing, Corey?
Yeah.
So now and I get it. We're paying these coaches these astronomical sums of money because they pretty much work every single day of the year, and their Saturdays are absolutely meat grinders. But isn't that why we're paying them all this money? Where was the GM for Bobby Bowden? And I know there was the transfer portal when Bobby Bowden was playing, but there also wasn't Huddle. There wasn't Zoom. There wasn't all these tools that helps you analyze, evaluate, speak to players. Now they're having to spend millions of dollars on singular people to help them identify talent? What are we paying you for then?
Michael Lombardi is married to someone named Millie Lombardi, and they have 2 sons together who are adult sons. So they've been married for a long time.
Hell yeah.
So I would love to. Those dinners would be fascinating. Probably knows a lot more about Chapel Roan and Charlie XCX or whoever that is. There's Stranger Things. Talking about, I'm sure Belichick's girlfriend grew up on Stranger Things.
TikToks, we're on TikTok.
Yeah, owning the game in TikToks. Owning it. I would say, yeah, man, Ira just tweeted about it. Not about Belichick, but about Nagy being is it Oklahoma?
Yeah.
That now that the colleges are going to have to start sharing revenue with the players, they've decided to come up with these brand new positions that cost millions of dollars a year. Maybe I'm not that cynical. I do think that North Carolina just announced that too for their basketball team. Yeah. They hired a guy to be their GM of the basketball team.
Longtime agent.
Yeah. As it was coming out that Hubert Davis signed a deal in the offseason that carries him to 2030. They announced that they're giving him a GM. Look, man, it's I get what you're saying, but it's not like you task Sirianni with being a GM too.
He'd love to, though, I bet. I bet you'd love to.
Well, maybe, but I mean that doesn't work out very well typically.
It doesn't.
The GMs and the coaches are 2 separate things, and it is an important position, and it's more about the NFLization of college football that these programs think they need a GM and they need a high-paid GM to go identify talent.
Yeah,
but
why is Belichick? Belichick's never had a GM. Why does he need one now?
I mean,
Brett
I would
Venables,
think,
why do you
man,
need Brett
I don't
Nagy?
think.
And then why do we have Derek Ray?
I don't think 72-year-old Bill Belichick is going to be breaking down Ball State film to see if he wants that right tackle or not, or do the communication afterwards to get in touch with that right tackle.
Fair.
It's more about your GM does that. Your GM pulls the strings to see if he's available and how much it would cost and all that. I mean, that's the reality, man. That's like, I mean, look, why does Link Jarrett need a pitching coach? Why does he need another assistant coach? I mean, there are other responsibilities than besides just being the head coach. The head coach is enough as it is. You need good guys that can help you evaluate. You need good guys, and I think it's more about.
Well, he's got 10 other full-time assistants that can do all that recruiting stuff with him too. It's nuts.
I know, but it's not the 90s anymore. You realize how much this thing has changed. Like literally, Aslan, there are 10,000 college football players right now as we speak that are free agents. You want Mike Norvell like scanning the list of every roster and saying like, "Yep, that's my guy. That look out for. Let's go get him. Let's go get him." Like it makes sense since there's free agency everywhere. It would be crazy. Why do the NFL why do they have GMs?
It's because they've always had GMs, I guess, right?
Well, I know, but I mean they're only looking at like what they draft 8 guys. 7 guys. They have 7 draft picks and they have GMs, and then they go get 10 or 15 free agents. Colleges have to recycle half their roster every year,
and they've somehow done it for 90 years.
Well, I know, but they didn't have the. You know the difference, though, is that the rosters of every other school in the country weren't open for bidding. So as long as that's a thing, where the portal's a thing and NIL is a thing to this degree, a good GM, or one that has connections, or maybe it's just a way to make money. It's a scam. But either way, it's a different world now, where you have guys that you brought in. What did they bring in? 17 transfers, and then 20 high school recruits. Like I would think a GM, mainly for me anyway, would be looking at the college kids.
It's just a little unnerving to me that Bill Belichick decided to hire Mike Lombardi, a guy that he had his pre-existing relationship with that'd been in the NFL forever. Oklahoma went and hired Jim Nagy, who's been evaluating NFL prospects for like the last 5 years. And then we've got Derek Ray.
Oh, I didn't know that was your complaint. I thought you were complaining about just GMs in general.
Well, that's the thing. So we've got this. So now we have this new position. So it's like here's another thing we have to compete with everybody on. We have to compete with them on the field, for players, for having the nice facilities, keeping our coach around. Now we have to form a whole new position, and we have to pay a lot of money into it apparently as well.
Well, do we know even? And I hope people don't think the last 5 minutes I was arguing that like this is a bona fide position that's going to be very valuable for North Carolina. I have no idea. Jim Nagy and Michael Lombardi might be stealing money. Like they might not have any role that changes anything. Their WAR might be 0. They have no wins above replacement. This is not going to help those programs in the least. It's a waste of money. I have no idea how they will impact those programs. So that said, I'm not arguing that that college football programs benefit by having a GM necessarily. I just understand why they would hire one. But I don't know that Derek Ray against Michael Lombardi when you're trying to get Deuce Robinson makes any difference. It could, but I don't know. Sounds to me almost like it's just they're doing it because the NFL does it.
Well, I get that point, but I'm sure a lot of it, too, is identifying that guy, finding him, and then being like, this is how much he's worth to the head coach and to your collective. Yeah. Because Jim Nagy might look at Deuce Robinson and be like, we need to put everything we have to get this kid. Then there might be a GM that's like, he's all right, but we can, I'll give the kid $120. That's about not $1 more, So
it is weird, though, because Nagy works for Venables.
Yeah.
And obviously Lombardi works for Belichick. But in the NFL, that's reversed. Mm. You know what I mean? GMs fire coaches. Not. You think Lombardi's going to fire Belichick? Like it's a weird. So Derek Ray works for Mike Norvell. So at the end of the day, Mike Norvell signs off on whoever Derek Ray brings to the table. So it's still Mike Norvell's program, just like it's still Bill Belichick's program. That's why it seems almost kind of made up now that I think about it. Like what? Yeah, I like your first point. Like, why do we even need this? What is this even for?
Yeah, I don't mean to be rude to Derek Ray. It'd be like if we're going to replace me with, there's 3 people you can pick to host this show with Corey. It's Dan Patrick, Scott Van Pelt, and me. I get it. I get it. Hey, I get it. I think I'm good at my job, but I'm not as good as those guys. I think Derek Ray's probably good at his job. I feel like Brett Nagy and not Brett Nagy. I knew a guy. I worked with a guy named Brett Nagy, Jim Nagy, and Michael Lombardi probably just been a little more of a seasoned eye. But who knows? We'll see.
Michael Lombardi's two sons. Matt is the assistant wide receivers coach with the Raiders.
Nice.
And Mick is the senior offensive assistant for the 49ers.
All right. I like it.
And Belichick's kid is the defensive coordinator, right?
Yep, Steve.
Man, this is all just a family. This is like Succession.
That's a money grab on the way out.
It's going to be Lombardi's and Belichick's fighting to see who gets to run the North Carolina football program in 2 years, as Belichick goes off on his honeymoon.
What do you thought of Severance so far, Corey?
I like it. You know what I like a lot? I want to give this recommendation. I was telling, Bill at Corner Pocket about this. I don't know if I've told you about it though or not, or if I've mentioned on the show, but I'm going to. Rogue Heroes.
We haven't heard that one from you.
Okay,
yet.
Rogue Heroes. I think it's on Prime. It's actually like an MGM show, but it's on Prime. The second season just finished. It's about the SAS forces in Britain during World War II, and it's a dramatization of stuff that really happened. But it's funny, it's witty, it's actiony, and it has like 80s and 90s rock music, even though it's a World War II show. It's really good.
Did your brother-in-law tip you off to this show?
No, I found it on my own because it got really good reviews like 3 years ago when the season debuted, the first season debuted. I'm like, yeah, this is interesting. Let me watch this. And I just got hooked. They've got great characters. McNulty from The Wire is one of them. It's a really good show that I don't think anybody's heard of. Like I asked people, nobody even knows about it, and it's one of the best shows I've seen in this decade. So Rogue Heroes is going to be something I throw out there.
See, maybe we can get the writer of the show on the podcast. Go over Rosello.
And White Lotus.
Yeah, White Lotus is back. It's just incredible, the archetype, stereotypes they build off of. It's incredible. I mean, there's no spoiler in this, but so if you guys haven't watched White Lotus, you should. It's based on this fictional spa in all these beautiful parts of the world. Like the first season was Hawaii, second season was Italy, now they're in Indonesia, Thailand. And so it's like wealthy people that obviously would go to these things that are on the complete opposite side of the world. So I love the family in this season.
Rich, entitled family from North Carolina. Yeah.
3 children.
Yep.
Their names, Piper, Lachlan, and Saxon.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And did you know Zaxxon, I think that's his name. Zaxxon is
Schwarzenegger's son.
Schwarzenegger's kid.
Yeah.
And the other son is Emily Mortimer. I don't know if you know who she is, the actress that was in like Newsroom, and she's been in a lot of stuff. But it's her husband is an actor, apparently a famous actor, and it's their son. So I think it's kind of cool that 2 of the actors are Nepo babies. You know what I mean? Like I think they're feeding into something there. They might be great people. I'm not saying they're not. But the last name Schwarzenegger, and then the other kid is their parents are famous actors too. It's like, man, that fits right in. That's perfect.
By the way, SAS is the Special Air Service, the Special Force Unit of the British Army. Everybody, so
it's great. It's based on a book written by Ben McIntyre, I think in the 90s or 2000s. It's really, really good. And it says so right at the beginning of the second season. It's like, look, this is based on a true story, but keep in mind this is not, and it says that in all caps, a history lesson. Like, don't take it. They're making some stuff. They're taking some liberties, but the people really existed that the show is about. That regiment really existed, and the battles that they were in really existed. It's just they colored outside the lines a little on some other stuff, but really good stuff.
Our guy Jimmy McNulty from The Wire's on this show.
I already said that, Aslan.
No, you didn't.
I did too. Check the tape, folks.
We'll
check the tape. I said McNulty from The Wire, but you weren't listening. It's fine. I talk a lot. I get it.
All right, we're done. Probably done for the week.
It.
We're done for the week as well, unless something crazy happens here on a Thursday. Jeff Cameron, though, is going to keep you company. 1 to 4 o'clock, Warchant TV, 93.3 FM as well. Recruiting stuff going down, premium recruiting board. Check that out.
And we didn't talk about baseball, even though they played on Wednesday night, right? Because we recorded beforehand. Correct. Deal with it.
Correct.
They got Georgetown this weekend, everyone.
Get it, Hoyas. Horrendous team, apparently, according to Corey's pre-scouting on them.
Well, I don't know if they're awesome, but they lost to George Washington on Tuesday, 8-7. They lost 2 of 3 to Presbyterian. They beat Sacred Heart.
They're
one game, but then lost
3-5.
Then also lost to Sacred Heart 21-4. They also won a game over George Mason 15-14. So it doesn't sound like they have a lot of great pitching. So maybe get some maybe the bats will get really going this weekend.
8th in the country in stolen bases per game, though, at 3.38. So.
Oh, all right, Hoyas. There you go.
Smelly.
They got Allen Iverson.
Barnes.
They got Allen Iverson on the bases. Holy moly! All right.
Hey, let's hang out again next week, everybody. He's Corey Amazon. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Shake it and take it.